right, what's up, everyone? It's Zach, and today I'm here with a very special guest. I am here with Bambi Marie. Bambi, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing good.
Good, glad to hear it, and thank you for taking some time to be on the podcast.
My pleasure.
Awesome. So, for those of you listening back home, Bambi is a person with a lot of different passions, honestly. Some of her passions include animals, music. She's pretty big, or maybe recently big, into traveling. And also, she's into modeling and is an aspiring model. So, that's a little bit about her and what her passions are. But do you mind kind of giving us a little bit of your background, who you are, what you're doing these days, all that good stuff?
For sure. I was born and raised in Michigan, and I'm recently opening my own bakery that surrounds by not surround, but um, basically is mainly focused on animals and like making treats for animals and everything. Because I feel like not many animals have a lot of options for treats that are
Hmm.
not what would I say organic, I guess I could say. They did not,
Okay.
because like if you look at dog treats, a lot of them are like different non-organic stuff that like lowers their self worth.
Okay.
But yeah,
Awesome. That's so cool. And like what got you interested in animals in the first place?
I've always loved animals. Honestly, I've always wanted to be a veterinarian, but that's a lot of school. But I've grown up with different animals, but I still have like a lot of love for
Awesome. That's really good. I mean, not great that you've been hurt by animals, but it's good
them.
that you still have the love for them and everything. And it sounds really cool that, the cafe idea that you're starting is really awesome. Is it going to be focused primarily on a certain type of animal, like dogs, like I know you mentioned, or is it going to be all different kinds of animals?
I'm gonna start out with like dogs and cats, and then work my way to like bunnies. I'm about to get a bunny, so I
Okay.
want to like make it to where like many other animals can have treats from there as well.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, and I know that like I can think of specifically like cat cafes have been a pretty big thing over the last few years, and it sounds like with what your idea is, it's going to be just for all animals, like you mentioned, maybe dogs and cats to start, but bunnies, and I'm sure you'll expand and grow. And I think that that's a really cool concept.
I'm really excited to start it, honestly.
What so you love animals and everything, but what made you want to specifically do a cafe? I know you mentioned kind of like making treats that are better for the animals, but was there anything else that really inspired the idea behind the cafe?
Um, well, I currently work at a cafe, so I guess that kind of has to do with it as well.
Okay, that's true.
But I don't know. I've always loved cafes because like you can sit there and like relax, do what you gotta do, and just enjoy life.
Yeah, exactly. I think like cafes are just like a really cool environment, and I think it's a great place for people to go when it comes to just like relaxing or getting work done, or maybe meeting up for like a social interaction or anything. So I think that's going to be really cool. Um, with your idea of the cafe and when you bring it to life and everything, is it going to be kind of like you're going to have animals there already, or people are encouraged to bring their animals, a mix of both?
It's kind of both. I want to
Okay.
open like events on the weekend to like bring shelter animals in. That way they
Oh,
can get like
nice.
social reaction and like basically get the love they don't get in shelters. Cause like
Yeah.
a lot of shelter animals are overseen for like dog shops and everything. And I feel like I don't know, a lot of people see like shelter dogs as like, oh, they're broken or this and this. I'm like, they're not really broken. They have history and
Hmm.
they need love too.
Yeah, I definitely think that unfortunately there kind of like negative stigma that like shelter dogs are like, they're maybe problematic, or they're not good for pets, or maybe they're not good with young children. But really, like you said, there's nothing wrong. There's nothing that is bad with those dogs, or they're not bad dogs. It's just maybe they've had rough situations, but that doesn't impact the dog itself.
Exactly.
Yeah, so I love the idea of the events because I think like anytime you can help kind of these dogs be adopted by loving families or individuals, I think that's a really cool opportunity. And I think again, like you mentioned, it's not always the dogs that are in shelters that are up for adoption. They get families. It maybe might be those like dog shops that are getting all the business.
Exactly. Oh shit.
Awesome. So when it comes to making the treats and everything, like, is that anything that you've done before? Like, are you currently just like making treats for like animals in your own life, or like is this something that's going to be kind of like a completely new venture for you?
I've been making treats for my dogs and my family's dogs and everything for a while now.
Okay. What what kind of got you interest in that? Is it the whole idea of like getting them like organic and good foods for them? Was that really what inspired you to learn how to make treats for them?
That too, and like I've noticed like when we give our dogs treats, my sometimes they hurt their teeth and like
Hmm.
because it's so hard or it's not right for them. But like, yeah.
That makes sense. Okay. So, yeah, I mean, I guess I think I've actually never had a dog. I love dogs. I've just never had one myself. But I think you bring up a good point that, like, sometimes these, like, commercial treats that you might get at, the grocery store or whatever, they might not really have the best intentions of the dogs who are actually eating them in mind. It might just be, oh, like, it's whatever dog food. We're just going to package it up and sell it. But that's not always going to be the best for the dogs.
Exactly.
Do you kind of, like, make your own recipes and stuff with the dog treats, or have you, like
Um,
do you make, like, certain kinds, or how's that work for you?
I usually go on Pinterest and like look up like what dogs can eat and what they can't eat, and I just experiment, like mix
Okay,
them, and see what they like
perfect.
and what not like.
With your experience so far, is there, like, a favorite treat do you think that your dog enjoys?
Um, it's a it's oatmeal that oats, apple cinnamon, and I think bananas.
Okay,
And I call it the Mickey because like that's my dog's name.
I love it.
But
That's
yeah,
awesome. Very
I put
cool.
peanut butter on top, like a little frosting on top to make it like
Okay,
special.
yeah, that's awesome. So, do you think like, you brought up the name, the Mickey, because of your dog's name, are you also gonna come up with, like, cool creative names for all the treats that you sell?
Oh, definitely I am.
Awesome, I love that, that's gonna be so cool. So, when it comes to starting the cafe in itself, like, I guess, where are you currently at in the process, or, like, what's been some of the challenging aspects to it so far?
Definitely finding a place to like I want to open.
Okay,
But I think I was gonna start out in Texas and work my way to like other states.
okay. Awesome, that was gonna be my question, if you wanted it to be just, like, one location or if you wanted to expand it, to different states, maybe even different countries, so the goal is to kinda get it to other states?
Yeah.
Okay.
But the goal right now is like to open up and like stay open.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, and you mentioned Texas is where you're thinking the first store is gonna be located at?
Yep.
Okay, awesome. So that kind of leads me to another question. I know that you and I have kind of talked a little bit about this off the podcast, but for anyone listening, perhaps you said you're from Michigan. What has you interested in Texas?
Um. Well, I went there recently. I think like last month,
Yeah,
and I just love the environment. People are so friendly, and I know like there's gonna be people I meet down there that are not friendly, but like it feels like a second home to me.
I love that, and I think like when you feel that like home environment, it's important to go there, to follow it, or to spend time there. So I love that for you, that it is a place that felt like home, and it's some place that you could see yourself just growing and thriving. So I think that that's really awesome. When you went to Texas, I know that you're kind of on like a trip going to many different places during that time. And I know that you enjoy traveling. Have you always been a big traveler, or is this something that you've been doing more recently in your life?
I believe I started traveling in 2021
Okay.
when I got out of a really bad relationship.
Mm,
I was
okay.
like trapped for 5 years, and like I just wanted to explore and like make memories. You never know how long someone's gonna be in the world.
Yeah, that's really true, and I think, like, it sounds like from your experiences, and I think, like, maybe a lot of us might have experienced this over, the pandemic. It's kind of like you never know, like, what's gonna happen in the world or what's gonna happen in your life, so it's like, take advantage of these opportunities, make memories, and make those experiences.
Exactly, and like people are always like, "Oh, you're rich," and you're this. I'm like, I'm not rich. I can always make more money. That's
Right.
it, but you can't make up more time.
Yeah, exactly, and, like, I guess that's a curious point of, like, obviously, to travel, to make these memories and experiences, it costs money. Do you find kind of like a balance between like, okay, like I really want to go on this trip, it's worth it, or like do you ever struggle with like, well, maybe I shouldn't travel because like it does cost a lot. Have you ever had that kind of like obstacle?
Mm, Honestly, recently I've thought about like canceling some trips
Okay,
to make another trip happen. But at the same time, I'm just like, what if this other trip never happens?
that's true.
So I just really just go with the flow,
Okay, I
and I
like it.
save up months in advance.
Okay. Yeah, that's probably smart to just like save way ahead so that you can, have these trips planned out and then maybe add trips or just if things come up, be able to do those as well.
Exactly.
So when you have been traveling, have you been going with other people? Have you been going by yourself or doing a mix of both?
It's a mixture of both. Sometimes like I would travel by myself, but meet up with like friends in different areas.
Okay, got it. So when you are traveling by yourself, like I feel like that can be something that maybe is intimidating or daunting to people, like the idea of just traveling somewhere on their own. Like, was that ever tough for you, or was it something that you've always felt pretty comfortable with?
It was really at first it was like really really tough on me because like again I'm going out on my own. I don't like know anyone or anything. I'm just like by myself basically, and
Right.
like but also traveling it gives you a chance to reflect on like your scares and what you want to do. Like I was like, oh, I can't travel, but like when I get on the plane, I'm like, oh wait, look what I can do. I can do more than just this.
I love that. So it sounds like having that time to reflect and everything, it kind of lets you learn honestly more about yourself and maybe even helps you overcome some fears or just things that you might think are obstacles.
Exactly. Except TSA.
Yeah. TSA is not a fun time for you.
And they're always like yelling, and I'm just like my anxiety rises. I'm like, oh crap, let me take my shoes off.
I get that. Yeah, I recently just traveled myself and that was really the first time I've traveled. First time I travel on my own, but also one of the first time that I know of or I can recall flying on a plane. Anytime I flew before that, I was like 1 years old, so like obviously no memory of it. But I can attest that TSA was I made it, both trips, but I definitely didn't really know what I was doing, and both times I set the alarm off a few times, so that was fun.
That's always fun.
Yeah. On the topic of traveling, do you have any advice for people that are looking to travel or maybe haven't traveled themselves, whether it's like advice for like planning a trip or once it actually comes to like going to the airport or anything like that?
I would definitely plan everything ahead,
Okay.
especially when like going to the airport. Never wear jewelry.
Okay.
That's like number one thing. When you go in there, if it's warm or cold, I always make sure I'm wearing like a t-shirt only when I go in through TSA. That way you're not like, oh, I have to pull off my hoodie, my oversized hoodie and everything. And then like wear shoes that you can step out of really easily, like sandals.
Got it. Okay. So it sounds like I definitely should have talked to you before I I flew because I'm pretty sure I violated like every piece of advice you just gave. Awesome. I love that. So, um, in your travels, would you say that because like Texas felt like that second home to you, that's been your favorite place you've traveled to?
I would say it's my second favorite place.
Okay. What's your first favorite?
California,
California.
because uh, when I first traveled to California, it was like 2 weeks after the breakup.
Okay.
So like I just wanted to get out and explore, and like I learned a lot on that trip about myself, and like reflected on like what I want in life, and like what does Bambi want, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. Do you feel like in that trip, that's like when you really found out what you wanted out of life?
Yes and no.
Okay. Do you still
You
think you're trying to figure it out a bit?
definitely yes. I'm
Okay.
still like, I mean, I'm only 23, so like I'm still learning and growing.
That makes sense. Yeah. I think that like we don't always do a good job talking about it, but I think like your 20s, especially your early 20s is a tough time where you're just trying to figure things out and like you have friends in so many different places of life. You have some that are still in school, you have some that are out of school. You have
Some are
some that
married, some
yeah,
have
some that are
kids.
married, kids, some are going out every single night to, a club or a bar and it's like no one really knows what they're doing. We're just kind of trying our best, but we think everyone else has it figured out.
That's the one thing. Like I had to stop like comparing myself to other people's lives, because like we all have different expectations and goals.
Hmm.
So I think it's like best to like stop comparing and
Yeah.
just start living.
Yeah, I definitely agree. I think it's tough when you compare yourself to others or you compare your life to others. And I know like anyone listening is probably like, "Oh, that's so much easier said than done." And I agree, it is easier said than done, but I think that like when we do get in that trap of like comparing ourselves, it ends up hurting us and it makes us feel like we're, behind or we're not good enough. So I think like you said, just it's important to just live your life and not worry about where other people are at or what other people are doing.
Exactly.
Do you think that like there's anything specific that you've done in your life that's helped you with kind of this like reflection process and helped you find out like what you want out of your life? Like, are there specific things that you've done?
um, I definitely needed to love myself first. I
Okay.
feel like um I know like everyone's gonna be like, oh, love yourself. Like I love myself. Like, do you really love yourself? Like I know people like, oh, I love myself, but like it's fake love towards them.
Okay. So how can we learn to love ourselves or like how have you learned to love yourself or how do you know when it is or when it isn't that fake love that you mentioned?
When you can be by yourself and not be lonely.
I love that. Okay. Yeah, that's really powerful because I think a lot of the times for anyone and myself included, when you're by yourself physically, like it's easy to feel alone or to feel lonely, but it's not always the case, right? Like I think like you just said, having that self-love for yourself, it makes you feel whole or complete even if you are like physically alone in that moment.
I completely agree. And like the way that I've learned how to self love is like, I'm always listening to music, and I like that's how I got into K-pop and everything. And they really taught me like how to self love. You need to love yourself before you know you can try to love someone else.
Yeah, definitely. And so you said that music was a big kind of catalyst in helping you learn to love yourself?
It really was.
Okay. Awesome. What was it kind of like you've always liked music, but then you really kind of got more connected to it, or were you not really that big into music and then suddenly that kind of shifted and that's what helped?
Um, well, growing up, I've always listened to music. Like before I was born, my mom had like headphones on her stomach,
Okay.
so I was listening to music before like I was even born.
Right.
So I just had a connection with music, I could say.
Okay. Awesome. Yeah, it definitely sounds like music has always been in your life. And then did you kind of like get more connected to specific genres or groups or artists in this kind of self-love journey, or is it just more so just amplifying the music and really tapping into that self-love?
It was kind of both. I could
Okay.
say that K-pop has really been there for me.
Okay.
Like BTS and a bunch of other artists, they've taught me like through loving them, I could learn to love myself.
That's awesome. I love that. So you would say that like out of all the music that you like and listen to, like K-pop's your biggest interest.
It really is. Like I've learned, like sure, I may not know 100% what they're saying unless I Google it, but you know, uh, music is like a really powerful thing. I feel like even if you don't know what they're saying, it could still hit home.
Yeah, definitely. Is there like a specific BTS song that really kind of hits home for you?
Ooh. um, I would have to say, oh damn. Recently, Yet to Come has been hitting differently,
Okay.
especially as like basically it's like celebrating what's to come,
Mm,
and you never know what's gonna come.
yeah, that's true. I feel like even if we think we know what's to come, usually we don't, and something just changes or something comes up, and it's kind of I think the beauty of life. You never really know, and just to be open to anything that could happen.
Exactly. Like I don't know, you, mm, the way I've thought about it, like I lost so many people in my life and everything,
Okay.
so I learned to like try and make memories with everybody,
Yeah. What are
even someone I don't like.
really?
You never
Okay.
know.
That's true. That is true. What are some of your favorite ways to make memories with people?
But I try to get people to come travel with me a lot,
Okay.
but like going out to dinner, taking pictures, just living in the moment. Yet try to like I don't know, try and make something out of it.
Okay. I like that. I think that that's something that I've kind of struggled with personally. Like, I think that there's been phases in my life where I'm very much in the moment and I'm enjoying the moment with people or with what I'm doing. But then I'm so focused that maybe I don't like, take a picture or whatever, and make that memory. And then I kind of realize like I'm sad by that. But then I think there's been times where maybe I go to a concert and I'm on my phone the whole time recording videos and taking pictures because I'm like, I want to remember this. But then it's almost like I didn't even really enjoy the show because I was so busy taking pictures or taking social media posts or whatever of the concert. So I think it's kind of like finding that balance between being in the moment, but also like making those memories and taking those pictures and stuff like that. Is that something that you've ever struggled with?
Okay, so the taking videos at the concerts, I'm guilty of that,
Yeah,
especially if it's like my first concert of the artist.
right.
But I've also learned, uh, taking a couple of photos is fine, but
Hmm.
after you get those photos, put your phone away and just like enjoy it.
Yeah. I love that. Yeah, that's definitely where I'm at too. Like I think it's like take those pictures, take those videos because you want those memories and you want those experiences. Like if you travel somewhere new, if you go to a concert, if you're seeing a friend, like it's always great to have those. But like you said, like once you take those pictures or videos, just like set your phone down and just really enjoy that other person's company or the event or thing that you're at. And I feel like it just kind of hits differently when you're fully kind of in the moment.
Exactly, and I feel like an artist's point of perspective that they keep seeing camera phones and they're like, oh, they're just recording the whole thing and not truly enjoying or hearing the artist.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good point for sure. Um, have you so out of curiosity, have you seen BTS live, like in a concert?
I think I saw them like 5 times.
You have okay, wow.
Yeah, I traveled to Cali to go see them. That's when I saw them for like first 2 times.
Okay.
And then I went to Vegas where I saw them for like 3 times.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And what was that experience like for you? Because I know that they're essentially your favorite band. How was that for you?
They're definitely better live.
Okay.
But like, it's not like they're better, like they're whatever. It's like being there in person really hits home because like
Yeah.
I'm in the same area as BT.
Right.
Like, oh my gosh. But then
I
you're also with people who share the same love.
Right.
and care for these idols, and like it's truly mesmerizing to see. And then like we do like an ocean wave with our light sticks, which I really love.
Okay, that sounds really cool. And now, if I'm correct on this, I think the band they're like kind of on a break right now,
Yeah, because they had to do a mandatory military.
right?
But
Okay,
I think right now Jin's in there right now, and then J Hope's about to go.
okay, gotcha. But
And
even though they have the military obligations and they're taking a break as a group, they're still. I think some of them they're releasing like individual projects, right?
yep, and one of them's about to go on a tour.
Oh wow, okay. So, have you been really listening to and involved with their individual works as well?
Oh yeah, I'm OT7. Like
Okay,
I love every one of them in a certain different way though.
yeah,
But 'cause they have different personalities, different personas.
okay,
But you know, you can't just like one member
right,
and like say screw the rest of them because that's not cool,
yeah,
and that like really hurts someone.
for sure. And now I know you mentioned just like really enjoying K-pop as a genre and BTS and that, their music really, really resonates with you and everything. But like how did you first get involved with the band or with the genre of music?
Mhm. I've always like listened to them here and there, but I really got involved when I was with my ex
Okay.
because it was an escape for me.
Okay.
And I guess like that's where I fell in love with
Okay.
music and everything.
Okay. Very cool. I think for me like I'll go on record and say like I'm not the most knowledgeable person on K-pop or BTS in general, but I remember seeing them on um, Carpool Karaoke with James Corden, and I was like, "Oh man, this group is really cool." And then their music has just been really really awesome to listen to. So I definitely they seem like great people, and their music is really good, and they're super talented. So I definitely can understand why you are such a fan of their music and what they do. Something else that you mentioned that you enjoy doing is you know having going out for a meal or getting a meal with friends and such. Um, and of course, like you said, you work for a cafe right now. You work at a cafe right now. You're opening a cafe. Um, what's like your favorite or go-to like food to have?
Ooh. Um, I either get like something that has chicken base because that's the only meat, type of meat I can have.
Okay.
Um, I have like a grilled chicken salad or anything with do with chicken.
Anything to do with chicken? Okay. I love it. I'm a big chicken person myself, so that's a great answer.
Chicken's amazing.
It
It
is.
can come like any forms.
Yeah, I know, right? It's so diverse and there's so many different ways you can have it. So I'm with you on that. And I honestly, like you said, I love, getting meals with people. I think that food, like obviously we need food to live, but I think it's like food's one of those cool things that I think can bring people together. And there's so many different kinds of foods and different cultures of foods. And I think like if I'm ever like, oh, I want to get together with someone I haven't seen in a while or talk to in a while, I think just like going to a cafe or going to dinner or lunch or something, like, it's just a good way to, like, bond with someone, and I think it makes for a really good experience.
And you learn a lot from like what they order and everything.
That is true. That is a good point. I didn't think about it like that, but that is a really good point. On the
If they're
topic of
cheap or fancy.
right. That is true. That is definitely something you can learn as well. On the topic of food, when you've traveled and stuff, like, what's been the best thing that you've had when you've traveled?
Ooh. Oh gosh. Um, I would have to say a Chicago pizza.
Okay,
That's
like, the
definitely
Chicago deep dish?
yes. It's just so good.
It is. It really is.
No, it definitely like it's they make it there. Like you see them make it and everything. And like sure, I like In and Out and that one restaurant I can't say in Texas, Whataburger or something.
Yeah, yep,
But like it's a homemade dish
yeah.
and like it's made with love and care and it really hits home.
It does. Yeah. I'm a big fan of Chicago deep dish too. Do you remember where you what like the restaurant was called that you had it at?
It started with a G.
Giordano's?
Yes, that's what it
Okay.
was.
That's where I went. There's obviously Chicago, and to anyone that is listening that might not be familiar with Chicago, there's a whole bunch of different deep dish pizzas places there, Chicago deep dish pizzas there. Um, but in my opinion, and it sounds like Bambi's too, Giordano's is one of the top places to go for the deep dish there.
I like every time I'm in Chicago, which has been like 2 or 3 times,
Yeah,
I just ran to Gianna.
I
Like
love that.
I can check in my hotel real quick and just run to the place.
Yeah, I love that. That's oh man, now you're making me want the pizza. It's so good. Fun fact, there is one in Michigan. There's a Giordano's in Holland, Michigan.
And you're just not telling me this?
I know, I'm sorry. Sounds like it's time for a road trip to get some pizza.
It really is.
Awesome. Um, when it comes to traveling, is there any place that is on your list of like the next place that you want to go? Do you know where that would be?
Mm, I would have to say, well, I'm planning on traveling outside of the country soon.
Okay.
I either want to go to Paris or Italy because I'm Italian.
Oh, perfect.
So, Italy, you could see where my ancestors were and everything.
Hmm. That'd be really cool.
And I can learn Italian.
When it comes to traveling, have you traveled for like different amounts of times? Like, have you taken some trips that were like a weekend and some that it might have been like a week, or is it usually for like the same amount of time?
Um, it really depends on where I'm going. My
Okay.
last trip was Louisiana to Texas, and I took off about almost a month
Okay.
to travel and everything. But sometimes it's like either a weekend or a week.
Okay. In a perfect world, like if it didn't matter how long you could travel someplace, what do you think would be like the perfect amount of time to go see a new place? Like, are you thinking like a weekend, a week, couple weeks,
Um, I would have to say a couple weeks.
couple weeks? Okay.
Especially like my dream place is to go to Greece,
Okay.
and I feel like there's so much culture there and so much to learn
Yeah.
that like it'll take time for me to like learn everything and
Right.
just see, you know. Sure, I want to do like tour stuff, but like I learned from like um it's better to go to the locals instead of tourists
Okay.
because you get to learn more.
Yeah. That is good advice. And you kind of mentioned seeing things from like a local point of view and also like from a tour, like tourist point of view. Would kind of like learning and just experiencing the culture, would you say that's like your favorite part or one of your favorite parts about traveling?
It definitely is. I've always loved to learn about like history and everything.
Okay. What's like, if you can think of something, not to put you on the spot, like what's like a really cool thing that you've learned about any of the places that you've traveled recently?
Hmm. That Louisiana is really into voodoo
Okay.
because like I went onto like Bourbon Street and everything, and like
Yeah.
every corner you turned, there was like a voodoo shop or something. But and they're really big on like partying and alcohol.
Okay. Yeah. Um, what's the what's like the celebration called? Um,
Mardi Gras.
yes, that's it. Okay. Yeah, I know that that's a pretty big celebration there, so it makes sense that they're kind of like that, that party atmosphere and everything down there.
They do like parties for everything. They do like a strawberry festival, St. Patrick's, Valentine's. I'm just like, dang, I need to move there.
That does sound really fun. Um, any like really standout foods that you had while you're there in Louisiana?
Ooh. Um, Macaroons.
Macaroons.
They're
Okay.
so good. And then I think it was called a beignet.
Yeah.
They're
Yep.
so good.
Isn't
It's,
that's like a pastry or something, right?
I believe it's a French pastry,
Yes. Okay.
but it's just so
Interesting.
good.
Well, it sounds like you're getting some ideas for your cafe. You can make
Yeah,
some beignets and some macaroons for the human their animals and see the animals.
I might just eat them all out of here.
There you go. I mean, hey, if you start making those, you'll have me as a customer. That's awesome. So, with everything that you've been doing, whether it's traveling and some traveling that you want to do, starting the cafe, kind of getting that up and running and everything, I guess what would you say is kind of like where where where's Bambi heading in the future? Like what's kind of like the future plans or goals for the time being?
Mm, it's hard to say because like I'm currently like living in the future and things, but like I'm hoping to move
Okay.
to Texas. But I'm really trying to figure out who I am in the process and everything.
Okay.
So like I feel like moving to a different environment will help me grow as a human.
Yeah.
And like, you can't really blossom a flower in the wrong environment.
Mm.
And that's just how I feel.
So
I
with
feel
you,
like there's
what were you,
more to me
okay.
than I know right now, and but I'm not in the right environment or state of mind to be that person.
Okay. So almost like the idea of a fresh start going someplace new like Texas would kind of allow you to really just grow and flourish in the way that you want to.
Yep, pretty much.
Okay. So maybe that answers my question, but I was going to ask like the idea and like I know that you're just in Texas traveling and on vacation and stuff, but I was going to ask like the idea of traveling someplace brand new, like is that more exciting to you or is that intimidating or scary or is it a little both?
It's definitely a mixture of both. I'm more intimidated like when I travel and everything.
Okay.
Cause like part of me I'm just like, oh, I'm going away from home,
Yeah.
and like I'm by myself, don't know anybody, except a couple friends I made down there. But like I don't know, just really I love it, yet I get terrified.
Okay. I think that makes sense. I think it's totally normal to be excited, but also to be kind of nervous and scared. I think it's a big adjustment. It's a big change, and anytime that we face those things, it can be tough, and it's definitely intimidating for sure.
It really is, especially if like you have people like, oh, you can't be traveling, it's too much money, it's too much this, and just like people are doubting you. And in
Hmm.
that moment, you have to be like, I can do this, put that all behind you and just go.
When you do have that kind of like outside doubt from other people, like how do you work around it, or how do you not let it get to you?
It was definitely hard, especially like with my family to begin
Okay.
with. And it's like I try to put it behind me and like show them like I can do this more than you could think.
Hmm. Okay. And I know that you've mentioned, like, with your example of Texas, or using Texas for example, that when you're there, you met some people, made some friends, and just from knowing you and everything, I know you're a pretty social person. It seems like you're pretty. It's pretty easy for you to make friends. Is that kind of always who you've been, or has it been hard for you to like put yourself out there and make friends, or does that just come naturally?
Recently it's come like naturally, but like
Okay.
meeting new people, I'm terrified. Like social
Really?
anxiety, yes.
Okay.
I know it's
Wow.
hard for like people to like, oh, you have social anxiety, but like you're this really social butterfly. And like honestly, I just zone out when I talk to people to get over my fear.
Okay. Got it. Is it like do you kind of have that, like, social anxiety? Is it more so, like, the first time you're meeting people, or is it something that maybe you experience even after you've met someone, even after you've talked to them a few times or hung out with them a few times, it's still kinda something on the back of your mind?
It's a mixture of both.
Okay.
It really depends on the person and the vibe.
Okay. Yeah, I think that makes sense. I think it can be different with different people, and I think, like, the vibe can be important, like, how it feels, how the connection is, and how it's going, that can really determine kind of, like, the comfort level or just, how we feel in certain situations.
Exactly. Like you could be like a happy person or a funny person with one person, but then have a different personality with someone else.
Yeah, definitely.
Um,
To anyone that is listening and maybe like they struggle with kind of like that social anxiety or they struggle with putting themselves out there to meet new people or to make new friends, do you have any advice or anything for anyone that might be struggling with those things?
um, I would say like at the end of the day, if you're meeting someone for the first time and like it's the only time you're meeting them, you can either leave a really really good first impression or a bad impression. It really depends on like who you're meeting and everything.
Okay.
But I've
Yeah.
always been the type of person that like I want to leave a good mark on the world. I don't want to be like known as someone that's evil or anything.
Yeah. So when it comes to like leaving a good or positive mark or making a good, impression, what are things that we can do to make sure that we're doing that when we are interacting with people or when we're going throughout our days in the world?
Always show kindness. Like
Okay.
you never know what someone's going through.
Yeah.
And like with me, like my act of kindness, I usually buy like a customer a coffee or give a dog a treat. It just really depends on like where I'm at.
Yeah. I love that. And I think that that's like, you know, when we hear like, an act of kindness or be kind to others, sometimes I think people think it has to be this like huge grand gesture things, but it really doesn't. I mean, like you said, buying someone a coffee, giving a dog a treat, holding the door open for someone, asking someone how their day is. Like it can be small things like that
Or
that
a compliment.
really mean a lot. Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
people always tell me like, "Oh, you got a beautiful smile," and like in the back of my head, I'm like, "Oh my god, I want to think about this all day."
Yeah.
It really brightens up people's day.
Yeah, and it's one of those things, like, it's so easy, like, there's ways like, a compliment is something that you can do without having to spend any money, so, like, if money's, tight for you, you can be kind and show kindness without spending money. Of course, if you have money to spend, you can, buy a drink, buy lunch, whatever it might be, but it's one of those things that, like, if everyone in the world just started to do one kind thing a day for someone, like, it would be such a better world.
It really would, and like I feel like there's not like a lot of love out there,
Yeah,
and
I
like
think that's fair.
it really is, and like the way I've learned, love comes from within.
Okay.
So you really have to love yourself in order to give love.
Yeah.
Cause like you
And
can't be fake love towards people, like oh this and this, but you can tell when someone's being fake towards you.
yes, I was just gonna say that, like, even if you think you're giving love out in a genuine way, but it is fake, I think other people can see when it is real or see when it is fake, and it's just a situation that you want to try to avoid. Outside of kind of those acts of kindness, is there any other ways that you like to or would suggest people could show love to others or show love to the world?
Mm, start smiling more. Like I
Yeah.
understand that people have like bad days or whatever, but a smile can really change a world. The world, but like a smile can be understood in like any culture or any language. It can really brighten up people's day.
That is very true. I think, like, even if you're just, I don't know, out to dinner or something, or you go to the grocery store, I think if, like, someone smiles at you, like, it's hard not to smile back, or it's hard not to feel, like, at least a little happy from that interaction. So it's like you said, a smile can make a really big difference, and it's like, it doesn't matter if you're in Michigan, Texas, um, Japan, Australia, if you smile, people understand what that means.
Just don't do it creepily.
Yes. That is a huge disclaimer. Don't do it in an uncomfortable way. Just,
Or don't be
genuine
like
smile.
blowing kisses to people. I'm like, oh, that's a little weird. I
Yeah,
don't know you. Or
exactly.
a customer was like, I love you. I'm like, I don't know you. Like, I appreciate it. But I'm like, I don't know you, but thank you.
Yes. Yes, so that is a good point. When you are showing kindness or love in the world or to others, make sure you're doing it in a way that's appropriate and a way that is, you know, conscious of, or the people that you're with or around.
It's very true.
Yes. Awesome. So, Bambi, I know you mentioned that you have the cafe that you're starting and everything like that. So, if anyone listening wants to check out the cafe or be around for updates or maybe get in touch with you or see kind of what you're doing with your passions, what are like the best ways to connect with you or to follow along with your journey?
I would definitely say follow the Instagram.
Okay.
That's where I'm most active.
Okay. Perfect. And I will put the Instagrams in the description of this episode. So you can go down there, find Bambi's Instagram accounts, and then, give it a follow, send her a message, let her know that you heard her on the podcast or that you're interested in everything that she's doing with the cafe. Because I think it's going to be a really cool experience. And I mean, I guess if you're opening it in Texas, I'll have to make the trip out to Texas to see it. But
You
you'll
better.
definitely have a supporter. Yeah. For sure. So again, the Instagrams will be in the description of this episode. But Bambi, is there any like last thoughts or message that you want to give to anyone that's listening to us today?
Mm, okay, it's like a weird one, but like it's a self love one.
Yeah.
How you love yourself is how you teach others to love you, if that makes sense.
Okay. I like that, and it does make sense to me, but like, do you mind kind of going into that a little bit and kind of sharing with the audience like what you mean by that?
Like, if you constantly walk around like, oh, I don't like this and this about myself, you know, not only are you asking for like attention unwantedly, but like people will see like, oh, she doesn't or he doesn't like love themselves completely. How can I love someone when they can't even like appreciate themselves?
Yeah. Okay. I like that. Yeah. So really kind of like we've talked about, like learn to love yourself. It's not always easy. It might take a lot of work, but love yourself. And then the way that you love yourself, others will see and be able to give the same love, to you that you give yourself. And you'll be able to return love to others when you can learn to love yourself first.
Exactly. And it's not going to happen overnight. Like, it's taken me 2 or 3 years to completely love myself.
Okay. Yeah, that's a good point. It is a journey, right? So it's something that, like you said, it's taken 2 to 3 years for you to do. And I'm sure, and you've kind of mentioned it yourself, like you're still learning to do that even today, right? Like it's an ongoing process.
Yeah, it's a very, very hard process.
It is. It is a hard process, but like don't let that intimidate you or scare you because it's an important journey and it's something that it really can be life changing when you can learn to love yourself. So I think and I are both encouraging you to learn and practice self-love and to go on that journey, even if it feels kind of scary or intimidating, because it is worth it in the end.
It really is.
Definitely. Well, Bambi, it's been a really great conversation having you. I really appreciate you sharing kind of just your philosophy on self-love and your journey, and then also all the excitement around the cafe and how that's going to just impact positively so many people and animals and just the world in general. So I'm really excited to follow along and to see that journey unfold. And I'm excited to support you and to check it out when it's up and running.
Thank you.
Of course. All right. Well, I'm sure I will be talking to you soon. But again, thank you for coming on the podcast.
It was my honor.
All right. Catch you later.
Catch you later.